Are we getting any sound now? Let me know if we're getting any sound. Okay, so here's the thing, is it is so hot that I might die. But I did find a book in the local cafe book exchange, so I will be bringing it back. And the book is called Why Marry Bitches? The Nice Woman's Guide to Getting and Keeping a Man's Heart. And I just thought, man, wouldn't it be good if we read this? So, I'm selecting some appropriate music. I might crack out a different light in a second, but I've selected some appropriate music. Then I'm going to get some cider. And then I will, and then we'll get started reading this terrible book. Reading some excerpts of this terrible book. We'll see how long I can last before I die of heat. Alright, I'm gonna get my cider now, and then we'll start the stream. Back. Sorry to break so quickly. Just needed to get my cider. So, how are we all doing? We all doing good? We all hearing me good? Let me just. It is. Like I said at the start, it is so hot that I might die. Hence why I'm dressed like this. I have my glass filled with ice. I've got my old malt cider, pineapple and raspberry to make it taste like juice because I generally just hate cider. But this is nice. And yeah, I just discovered, critically, I don't have any pint glasses. Which is absurd. Imagine not having a pint glass. I hope you are alright. Everyone is alright. Let me just see. That's better. That means we can hear that a bit better. And I don't have to be as close to the microphone. Yeah. So, plan for today is, as ever, we'll do our normal stuff. We will be talking about anything that comes up, anything that anyone wants to talk about, all the shit that's been going on. I think this is the first time I've spoken to you since Biden dropped out of the election race, and that's fun. So I guess we can talk about that. I've got some upcoming videos, both on this channel, and I've just started doing some work with the channel Wisecrack, and I'm putting together a video with them on immigration and like neoliberalism and sort of fascist tendencies within neoliberal immigration policy, sort of stuff that we've seen play out, unfortunately, the last couple of days in the UK with some far-right protests. Protest is a bad word for it. Some whiteness riots is a good word that we'll be talking about, that we can talk about in a bit as well. And I'm just finishing up a video that should be out next week, hopefully, on cooperatives and market socialism, building off of the last video review of Richard Wolff's book. It was supposed to be a short video, and I thought that today before I started writing it, but now I've written today 3,500 words, so it's not going to be that short. Nearly finished. But, you know, there we go. That is a nice cider. Yeah, Limey Redneck, just putting in the chat there, the Wisecracks channel. Yeah, hopefully we'll get something. That's my job for tomorrow, is to write that script. Finish the one that I'm currently working on and write that one for them. Oh yeah, the riots, and yeah, that's fucked up as well. Lots of fucked up riots going on. But first, we're gonna get to the fun. We're gonna do the fun stuff first. We're having our dessert before we get to the bad stuff. For anyone who was in here earlier, anyone who came in before I started, before I had this sort of funky tune going on, and the reason I got this kind of funky tune going on is that at the local cafe where I was working today, because it's so warm, I needed to work somewhere that has some air conditioning. The local cafe has it. They have a book swap. Now, in this book swap, they have this book, Why Men Marry Bitches. And there is so much gender in this book. There is so much gender. I just couldn't resist bringing it on stream to read some key excerpts. I haven't picked out anything particularly. Lena, the review of Richard Wolff's book is already up. That was last week's video. Didn't do particularly well. Wasn't expecting that to do particularly well, to be honest. But you know, who cares? That book's already up. That review's already up. This next video is a sort of extension because people kept asking. A few people asked me after that review whether you're still considered under exploitation if you're in a cooperative, working in a cooperative. And I wanted to make a video about why. But that kind of extended into a much larger essay into why market socialism is fake. And you know, the role of cooperatives and why people talk about cooperatives as a transitory state into the future and what that actually means within Marx's writing. That video is gonna go much more into, like the one that I'm writing now, goes much more into some real base Marxist stuff than anything I've done before. So we're getting into it. We're getting into some proper what are the base features of exploitation, of commodity production, what does that mean, and what does that mean in terms of the law of value and stuff like that. So for a long time people have asked me if I could do some sort of Marxist ABCs or Marxian ABCs, and this next video kind of goes into some of those ABCs stuff while being a critique of cooperatives and market socialism as an idea and stuff like that. It should be quite good. Lots of technical stuff, but hopefully it's communicated in a way that is understandable without simplifying anything. I'm glad that you liked the review, Austin. I was hoping that maybe slightly more people would say would say would have watched it, but I didn't expect that many people to watch it in the first place. But anyway, as we go on, before we start reading, you know what I should do before I actually start doing anything is, and I always forget to do this, tweet out that I'm live. Oh, I'm such a goddamn professional fucking YouTuber. I always forget to tweet out when I'm live. Oh, wait, this is what everyone comes for. Watch John tweet. The Watch John tweet stream. Sarah Jessica Farter saying, everyone advocating market socialism is doing so to posit something as unscary as possible to liberals. That's my take. Yanis Varoufakis advocates it, for example, and there's no way it's as ideal. Yeah, I think that I agree to an extent with that. I think there are genuinely people who think of it as their end goal, and that was especially the case during the Cold War and like immediately after the fall of the Soviet Union. A lot of like left intellectuals and stuff started positing market socialism as the end in itself, as a sort of opposite to state socialism. They were kind of viewing it as a a fix to the state, even though that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in itself. But I do also think that a lot of I think that a lot of the time people do use it as this notion that it's a transition. This is something that we are limiting in ourselves, limiting our imagination of a future world. But in doing so, they actually just blunt the critique. And I think, it's easy to say, imagine a world where things aren't that different from how they are now, except you have you've got more control over your workplace. Isn't that easy to imagine? But that, I think, is a problem. I don't think that's a good way to go about advocating for socialism. I think that you end up just replicating the same it's the same idea of like pushing people further left as like a simple process of people are objects that you kind of shuffle along down a tube. You got to shuffle along. You just nudge them along and they get further left. I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that is how it works, and I don't think it's particularly helpful to imbue people with false notions about how the world is as a means to do that, because then you're just constantly unpicking yourself. But yeah, we do talk a bit about the imaginary that market socialism produces, and the problem of it being a transitory state, why it's not really possible. That's the section that I'm writing tomorrow. Pushing folks down the slide, but what happens when they get stuck in the tube? No one can use it. Yeah, quite. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's coming up. That's what's coming up. The family abolition video is still in the works. I'm hoping to do some more interesting things with the family abolition video than just sort of sitting down and presenting to camera. So there's that one's taking a bit of work. But I want to get that next video out. So Lena, do you mean like, it's more materialistic in the sense of like people will do market socialism and then do communism? Afraid, don't worry, you've not missed anything. Because that's precisely the sort of thing that we will be talking about tomorrow as well. Because there's not tomorrow, sorry, but in the video. Because there is an argument, not to sort of prefigure what the video is, but there is an argument from the market socialist types, the cooperative types, Richard Wolff and the like, that in doing cooperatives, it's the cooperative form itself which is revolutionary, that it's the cooperative form itself which abolishes capital relations, and in producing the cooperative form more and more and more, you are actually progressively abolishing capital. And no, I just don't agree with that at all. I don't think it works. I don't think it works politically. I don't think it's in keeping with Marx's actual thoughts on worker cooperatives. And I don't think it's possible. I don't think that there is going to be a way. Like, the notion that cooperatives produce a revolutionary consciousness, or produce, something that is capable of overcoming a lot of the that they automatically produce revolutionary consciousness, is flatly contradicted by history, in so many ways. That they can expose things is true, and is part of why Marx promoted them alongside political mobilization, because he sort of saw them as a way of stripping the facade of capital being directed by managers, and he saw them as a way of, as long as they were part of a concomitant raising of class consciousness, could be part of producing revolutionary movements. But they are not in themselves something which can happen to push us into socialism. I don't think. I think all the arguments that they are presuppose the existence of a social movement of proper size, that you'd be like, oh, we already have a global mass social movement which can overcome the capital relation. Why do we then need to set up this co-op situation if we've already got this class consciousness? And the market socialist, or even like the Richard Wolff argument, seems to presuppose that, and it's, I don't think it works. Oh, it's 100% true of the unions as well. Marx included in those same critiques the critiques of the union. For Marx, the union isn't itself a revolutionary form, and in many, many cases he criticised the limits of the union, and Marxists throughout for centuries now, for like 150, 200 years, have been criticising the union and its tendency towards bureaucratisation and towards facilitating the capital-labour relation rather than challenging it. But that obviously doesn't mean that Marx was against unions in the same way that critiquing limitations with the co-ops doesn't mean that Marx was against co-ops. It just means that these forms aren't the forms of revolution, but they are expository of a potential of revolutionary consciousness. Vaguely Binary saying, for me, the problem with market socialism is that it's far too easily co-opted. See, what I would say is that the problem with market socialism is that it is already co-opted. Market socialism is innately already not socialism, but social democracy. It's something that is innately already it already maintains capital logic, the law of value, all this stuff. There's no way in which market socialism isn't already co-opted. I feel like I walked into the class discussion at a point where it's simultaneously in the middle and not even close to halfway. I mean, you're technically kind of right there, Frey, because we were just talking about, talking about a video which I've not actually completed writing yet, should be out next week, in which we will talk about this stuff in greater detail, and obviously I will guide you through the argument much more clearly. But don't worry, we'll be talking about why men marry bitches in just 1 second. Joshua Moldenhauer saying, did people see the see the ecocide video being used in Jessie Gender's new video on anti-Zionism. I've mixed feelings about her video, but hopefully the ecocide video gets more eyes. I don't know. I saw that it had been tagged, but I don't know if it's got any more views. Let me just check. I'd be surprised because I've not had any comments on it recently. Normally when a video gets more views, it gets more comments. No, not really. Still sitting about 25,000. So not really. Be good though. I like that video. And it's one that I'm gonna. That's another job that I need to do is write. I'm gonna write a sort of consolidation of that video and try and pitch it to some articles to some magazines for some page writing, because my finances are not good. So I want to get more eyes on that whole concept, because I think it's a good concept as well. And hopefully, if things pan out, it will be an area I'll be working in some point. I think China's situation highlighted the need to play ball with the capitalist system as a means of survival, with market socialism being the reformist basis which we hope to facilitate revolution. Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that, unfortunately. I don't think China's situation is about playing ball. I think China's kind of just subsumed into a capitalist system at this point. I think it's, it's... The thing that gets most people, how to annoy most people when you're talking about China is to say that China is the last real social democracy, because it's not communist, obviously. There's billionaires, come on, but it's also definitely a much more, in many ways, humane capitalism, directed capitalism than neoliberal Western ideals. And it's like that seemed the last vestige of social democracy, which is, it will get the CCP defenders mad at you because they're like, no, it's communism, and it will get the Western folk mad at you to be like, China's not a social democracy, it's a totalitarian, the worst place in the world. So if you want everyone to get mad at you, just tell them that. At least Xi Jinping makes everyone read the Communist Manifesto. Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's dive in to why men marry bitches. The Nice Woman's Guide to Getting and Keeping a Man's Heart. I want to quickly read the blog, or the sort of the blurb of the author here, because I think it's important to remember just how widespread this kind of thinking is when we're going through some of this stuff here, because it's something else. So Sherry Argov is the author of Why Men Love Bitches, and her writing has appeared in over 50 magazines, including People, Elle, Glamour, Esquire, and Cosmopolitan. Her work has been featured nationally on The Today Show, The View, MSNBC, Fox News, that bit's not surprising, and MTV. A first-class theatre production abroad, I don't know what that means. Her live play, I don't know how this is a live play, has topped the Billboard charts for 3 consecutive years and received critical acclaim. And her work is currently published throughout the world in over 30 languages. Okay, so with that said, with the incredible accomplishments of this author, let's dive in to what we have to say about gender within this book, because it's quite scary. I'm just gonna pick random pages, by the way. Here's one that's bookmarked. Oh, okay, so this bit is called This section of this book is titled "Keeping the Home Fires Burning for Advanced Bitches Only." And remember, this is when was this? This was published in 2011, so this wasn't published very long ago. 2011. We are talking not that long ago. Okay, I'll get my reading voice. Picture a guy walking by the water cooler at work. He overhears two secretaries talking, and one says, "I'm not giving him any." Instantly, his ears perk up, and it gets stored in his memory bank. There are certain attitudes women have towards sex that register with a man. Here's why the whole idea of giving him some doesn't go over well. If he's a good lover, he wants to believe that he's... Oh God, sorry, this is actually making me want to be sick. If he's a good lover, he wants to believe that he's giving you as much pleasure as you're giving him, and that something is hard to resist. Oh God, okay, here we are. We're diving into stuff. We're diving into gender now. I'm gonna crank the gender lever because we're getting into some gender here. That said, there are times when you don't want to have sex. Yeah. There are times when you don't want to have sex. After all, women just aren't as physically strong. We can't lift a heavy box. We can't lift a heavy box like they can. We can't open a jar, and sometimes we don't have the physical fortitude to be a pincushion after a long, hard day of chasing kids or meeting deadlines. Or meeting work deadlines. Good Lord, this is... Okay. If you explain it to him, be sure to do it in a way that makes him feel big and strong, while presenting yourself as a delicate little flower. This way you can negotiate a foot massage or a shoulder massage and avoid making him feel rejected. Okay. So that's some gender. So we've got some gender here. Over 1 million copies sold. What's big and strong? So okay, let me try and excavate something from this, because it's something else. What is interesting there is the way, not just the sexism, the misogyny is so clear. Like, I like being a delicate little flower too sometimes. It's nice to be a delicate little flower. But I think the most telling line there was the let's see if I can find that again. It was something like, when chasing kids or meeting a work deadline. And that's a fascinating little bit of insight into the sort of mindset that produces this book, because that is exactly the sort of shit of like lean in post-feminisms of like Hillary Clinton and what's her name, Anne-Marie Slaughter, which talks about how, to be a good female subject in the neoliberal sense is obviously to be a worker as well as a mother, and that's a brilliant consolidation of that little thing, that little bit. Remember that? So the video I did ages ago about neoliberal feminism, and there was a video that Abby Philosophy Tube did with a character called Kellyanne Slaughter, I think. That sort of leaned into that, and that's quite interesting. Big and strong. We can't open a pickle jar. Alright, someone in chat, name a page between 1 1 and 200, 211. Name a page between 1 and 211, and we will try to find the wisdom. We'll try to find the wisdom of relationships inside this book. Just another Glorps Day morning. 137. Okay, we've got 137. 137. Okay. Relationship principle number 58. A man's favourite word is appreciate. He wants more than anything to feel revered and valued by a woman. When she's appreciative, it motivates him to give her the world. Okay, just let's get some. Let's add to this wisdom. Let's see what does this mean in a real sense, according to Sherry Argov. When you act like you appreciate his accomplishments, what he did for you, what he gave to you, and so on, and so on. This is the most important validation you can get. This explains why men will forget a birthday or an anniversary and Mother's Day, but they'll never miss This explains why men will forget a birthday, an anniversary and Mother's Day, but they'll never miss a Coach of the Year awards ceremony to get that crummy little trophy cup. And on and on and on. Oh God, yeah, I never miss a speaking as a man. Speaking as a man, I never forget a Coach of the Year ceremony. Never once have I forgotten to pick up my crummy little Coach of the Year trophy, because it's just so important to me as a man, as one of the very virile men that this book speaks to. I have never in my life wanted to miss that, because that's the thing. I just I just love to feel validated. It's really important. This isn't satirical. This is a sincere book that's sold over 1 million copies. I cracked open this fan as a joke, but good lord, is it helping. Whew. As a man, my favourite hobby is forgetting my significant other's birthday and their anniversary. Really makes me feel appreciated. I will say, my dad, as wonderful as he is, has never once remembered birthdays. My dad once took me to hospital when I was 1 year old. 1 year old. And when the nurse asked how old I was, he couldn't remember. Now, in his defence, he had 2 other children at that point, and my mum was pregnant again, so he was slightly stressed out. But still, I feel like, come on, Dad. Guggenheim. The book is called Why Men Marry Bitches. It has sold over 1 million copies and is by Sherry Argov. Okay, so that was 100. That was what was that? 137 from Just Another Glorps Day Morning. Next, River Rune. River Rune says page 12. I don't know how long we're gonna do this, but it is fascinating. Page 12. What have we got? Okay, so page 12 doesn't start with a relationship principle, but the first line of page 12 is worrying. It just says, she'll be so emaciated someone will be tossing her a cheeseburger, and I'm scared to know what that what that means. It includes a thing that says turn-ons, Twinkies, popsicles, and sunsets. Who's turned on by Twinkies? What's going on here? I don't know. Okay, this page was too bad. I'm not reading it. It was too horrible. So we're moving on. Sorry to Riveroon, but you picked a bad page. Let's go for 56. Okay, 56 does start with a relationship principle. This is relationship principle number 28. Oh no, this is bad. Okay, is everyone okay? Relationship principle number 28. The magic formula is to give a little and then pull back. Give a little and then pull back. I'm not an advice channel. I'm not gonna give you relationship advice. I don't know if I'd be good at that. What I will say is that the advice to make a let's complete this. This is not a very short relationship principle, but it says it's like a schoolyard game of tag, and you are, quote, it. If you stand there, he'll stop chasing you. But if you keep moving, he'll keep chasing after you. Even when you are married. Oh, okay. Oh. Sorry, I thought for a second she was like, if you want to do an affair. No. It's like, even if you're married and you want to get a little extra on the side. I was like, okay, so this is going into a polyamorous direction. No. It's for life when you're married. Even when you're married, it charges up his batteries whenever he can't have full access to you. Oh no. Oh no. This is bad. When Dolly Parton asked of the secret of being happily married for many decades, she said she packs a bag and travels whenever her husband seems to be getting a little bit complacent. That's my secret, honey. I just stay gone. Woo. Okay. So I'm not a relationship advice channel. I don't know if any of you have clocked this. This is the principle that's short of the relationship. But my advice to you would be to not fucking do that. Because that would be a bad idea. You know what? You know what's a good idea in a relationship? Fuck with the person. Don't communicate. Don't communicate what your needs and your desires and what makes you comfortable, what makes you happy in your relationship. Make sure that you fuck with your partner. That's what we need to do. We need to ensure that whoever you're in a relationship with is always on edge, right? Make sure both you and your partner are always on edge, because you never know. They could be looking for someone else. You need to lock that in by being weird and cruel, and you need to make sure, because men, you know what men are like, they're always chasing tail. This is fun. Just stay gone. Oh my god. Yeah, a sign of a good relationship is Googie Ham saying, the sign of a good relationship is when it feels like your partner is constantly chasing you and you feel like you need to get away from them. Yeah, exactly. That's what I need. You need to get away from them. You need to make sure that they're chasing you. Is that what edging means? Yeah. Is it true though that separation fuels desire? No. Look, if I was in a situation where my partner was like kept running, like in different occasions just deciding to cut off contact or to pull away, I would consider that cruel, confusing, emotionally draining, hard, and it would make me deeply, deeply sad. It would not make me desire anything except to not be sad. Can I make a video on neoliberalism and agricultural subsidies? We're on that topic right now. Whew. Yeah, I mean, I would say that was a bad piece of relationship advice. I don't necessarily, I don't think it's, I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's necessarily abusive, but it's not that far. Alright. Let's make up a new tune, and then we'll carry on. I'm gonna change up the music, and then we can carry on with thinking about why men marry bitches. I've not quite figured out what the answer to that question is from my sporadic readings, but we might figure it out throughout the course of this collective read-through. This is, by the way, I hope we all know that. I hope we all know that this is really important for relationships, and this is really what this channel is now going to become a relationship advice channel. Just so you know. Just so you know. What kind of music do we think goes with this book? What do we think? I don't know. Country, yeah, country would, but I feel like country's to sort of go with a reading country would be a bit odd. Okay, alright, 1 second. Okay, let's hold on. Let me what did someone else have a page? What's another page that someone asked for? Oh, we had 256s in a row. 176 from Mithra. Let's see what pops up. Okay, so 176 doesn't have another relationship principle, but we will just move on. We'll just go to 177, which does have a relationship principle. Oh my god, okay. Alright, yeah. Another real bad idea here. The bitch doesn't hint about marriage or ask, where's this going? Instead, she hints about the removal of herself from the relationship. The word marriage never even comes up. Does everyone think that's a good idea? I'll repeat in a normal voice. The bitch, this is written, the bitch doesn't hint about marriage or ask, where is this going? Instead, she hints about the removal of herself from relationship. The word marriage never comes up. rest assured he'll get it. When in a couple of weeks it's likely that another conversation will come up because he will notice a change and ask you, hey, what's wrong? When he does, you don't want to seem as though you're let down. When he does, you don't want to seem as though you're let down, devastated, or upset. If he's still not telling you he wants the relationship to move forward, because of course marriage is always the way in which a relationship should move forward, you may want to consider telling him the following. We've had a wonderful time. We've had a wonderful time, and I don't regret the time we've spent together. I think the world of you, but obviously we want different things, so we need to do the right thing. I love you, and I want you to be happy. I want you to have what you're looking for also. I think it's time for us to move on. This is when you have to be classy and show him that you're different. No late night drama, no crying, no guilt trips, no martyr or victim on the premises. Don't give him the impression that you feel you've been shortchanged. Don't have any further conversations with him. This is not a begathon. The reason silence is golden at this point is that anything you say after that will let him know he can buy time, stall, or okie doke you. Any weeping or crying in a discussion like this will show him that you are unsure, and he'll think he doesn't have to change a thing. Yeah, so, okay. So what we've learned from this is that there is only one way for a relationship to go, and that is forward. And when a relationship's going forward, what that means is marriage. Heterosexual marriage between a man and a woman. That's what that means. And if you want to get married, make sure you don't communicate that clearly. Make sure you don't say, hey, I have this want, and you also have this want. Make sure you just give some silent treatment. You don't work through it as two people. You make sure that the guy, the partner, is confused. You're not trying to leave this relationship. You're trying to get married. This is how you get. By the way, this is how you get married. This is how all marriages actually happen. I mean, not my parents. That was more. My parents got married. It's quite a fun story. My parents got married because my mum said, "I suppose we better get married then." And my dad went, "All right." And then they got married. Because they're my. I don't know if it would shock you to learn that my family are not romantics. But that's how that happened in my family. Hello, Sanam. We're reading from a great book. Oh yeah, by the way, slight detour, and we'll get back to the book in a second. The first of our D&D streams to be on YouTube are now on SK the Crusaders channel. I will post them on mine probably tomorrow via link. But yeah, you can catch it with our D&D streams tomorrow. They got married, as was the style of the time. Now back to why men marry bitches. Yeah, it's very warm here. It's very warm here, and we were reading through an incredible book. Sarah, I'm not sure what the book you're reading for the basis of your next video is. Someone else, right? We need another page. Give us another page. We're moving forward. I don't know how, again, I don't know how long we're going to do this. It's until I stop having fun. Whoever suggested country and western for this, by the way, was absolutely correct. This is a country and western vibe. While I wait for pages, I'll add some bass. Okay, what have we got? We got number 45. Lucky number 45. Let's see what's coming up on lucky number 45. Oh, is this another? Okay, so I'm gonna read 45, but 32 has an intriguing little bookmark on it. So we'll go to 32 afterwards. Okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? There's Okay, so we gotta go to the book again. Book Why Men Marry Bitches, a million seller extraordinaire by an author who's been featured on channels no less prestigious as Fox News. Okay, so we have to go to 43. 43 to get to the relationship principle, and then there's a bunch of bullet points, and we'll see if we can get through them. Relationship principle number 20. As soon as a woman hands a man a more serious commitment on a silver platter, he'll be reluctant to take it. Okay. Okay. So what? Let me offer a projection about what this is going to be. This is going to be: make sure you do not communicate. Make sure you do not communicate with your partner what you're doing and what relationships are built on. Relationships are a battle. You're built on trickery and forcing someone to your and their misfortune to relate to each other in a specific way, and make sure that everyone knows that this is a battle. This is a battle between the sexes. Women need that commitment because that's implicitly in this book, in this story. Implicitly, women always need that commitment. Men always hate it. That's not implicit. That's what it says. Okay, so I'm gonna skip the paragraph because I don't want to read it. But here's some. I'm just gonna read the bullet points, which include: don't introduce him as your boyfriend right away. I mean, I don't know what the limits of this are. To suggest to a man that you are setting up for a long haul and you want to preserve the impression you are still undecided. Okay. So if I was dating a boy, and it was I wouldn't, if I'd gone on a date with a boy, I'm unsure what the sort of temporal limitations of this are. Are we not to introduce someone who you've been on one date with as your boyfriend? Because that's good advice, because that would freak someone out. if you went on one date and you were like, hey, this is my boyfriend. That would freak out if you were dating a woman and you did that. That would be a strange thing to say, I would suggest. Next, no lovers' gazes. Okay. To you it's romantic, but to him he's being eyed up like prey, no different than the way... So you know what I was saying? About relationships being a battle. To you it's romantic, but to him he's being eyed up like prey, no different than the way a lion looks at a gazelle. In this analogy, the woman is the lion and the man is a gazelle. If you've ever seen a lion look at a gazelle, it hides in the bushes and stares down the gazelle. That's how men feel when you do the goo-goo. When you do the goo-goo eyes too soon. I mean, in her defense, in my defense, if I was dating someone and they were hiding in a bush staring at me, that would freak me out. I'm not gonna lie, she's fucking nailed that one. Yeah, that would be negative to me. With voice messages, shorter is better. I mean, just generally, I agree with that. Don't leave me voice messages. This may be a function of this being out of date technologically, but yeah, don't ever leave me voice messages. Whether or not we're dating, don't leave me voice messages. Don't leave me a voice note is okay. A voicemail, fuck that. Voicemails are the worst. The Android app, we are on a different thing now. The Android app is the worst thing in the world for voice messages. They do not leave you alone. It's the most insistent fucking thing in the world. Oh, you've got a voice message. Listen to it. Okay, I'll listen to it. What is it? It's the blood donation people trying to get my blood again. They need my blood. And they leave me a voicemail that's like, hello, we're calling from the blood donation people. We're just letting you know that we left you a message. You don't have to do anything about this. Bye. And you're like, well, why would you leave me a message? I don't need this voice message. Blood Donation UK. I will donate blood when I can. Next. You don't need to leave me a message. But then the Android app, you listen to it and it doesn't stop telling you you've got a voice message. It could be a mystery when the Android phone tells you you've no longer got a voice message. Could be a week, could be a month, could be right away. It's so annoying. And I'm sorry I went off on that tangent. And Sinan, I'm sorry for completely missing what you were talking about. It could have been a text. This voicemail could have been a text. And in terms of emails, the blood donation people also email you. Furious. Okay. What was that? Page 32, I think? Oh yeah, here's page 32. Relationship principle number 15. As soon as a man has his guard up, he will not fall in love or get attached. The only way he'll get attached is if you lower his guard first. Again, everything is a battle. It's a little like a woman's approach to sex. What? It's a little bit like a woman's approach to sex. If a guy hits on you in a bar and comes on too strong, chances are you'll think it's hardly a compliment, he's so horny, he'll shack up with anything in a skirt. Okay. Because the guy is being so obvious, your guard immediately goes right up and you want nothing more to do with him, right? This is exactly how men approach commitment and marriage. They feel like most women would marry a toothless ex-convict as long as they got on bended knee. Okay, I mean, first of all, nothing wrong with being an ex-convict. Like, let's get that out there. Nothing wrong with being toothless either. So, let's not fucking do drive-bys on people who might be perfectly lovely. And also, no, men do not think this. This is not a thing. This is not a thing men think, I'm afraid. Okay. Before this gets too stale, I'm gonna offer one person the chance to give one more final page suggestion, and then we'll move on to something else. So, whoever wants I won't be first off the gun. I'll leave a few seconds now. I'll pick the page that speaks to me most, but someone suggest a page. Round 100, that has a good vibe. Not gonna lie. 60, 69. Oh god, 69. Oh, you fucking got me. Oh, it's gonna be 69, isn't it? 69 is there. Alright. Shall we, we're gonna go for 69, folks. Let's get this straight. But we're gonna change up the music before we get to 69. We're gonna do a sort of, you know the Flight of the Conchords song Business Time? We're gonna do something like that. Where's my plectrum? Oh, it's so hot in here that my guitar is already out of tune, and I've lost my plectrum. There it is. Alright. Ooh, whoops, sorry. Okay. Are we ready for page 69? So I think before we hit page 69, we've got some funk on the go for page 69. What I think the overwhelming vibe from this book is, aside from some of the sort of classic, anti-feminism / post-feminism of the women are both, wives and mothers, but also, powerful workplaces, lean-in feminism. You got to make sure that you're both a wife and a mother and a corporate person. And also the horrible, competitive, just anti-feminism, misogynistic framing of the entire thing of, obviously, why men marry bitches, the nice women's guide. Remember, this is the nice women's guide. This is the nice women's guide to how to get and keep a man's heart. Make sure you do a whole load of weird manipulation and misogyny. That's remember this is the nice women's guide. Okay. So we're gonna have to start page 69 on page 68 because that's where the relationship principle is. Okay. Relationship principle 32. Who he tells you he is in the beginning has very little to do with how he will treat you. If there's sex involved, he'll promise you things you've never even heard of. Don't know what that could refer to. I get what you're saying and the notion that people, men can be dicks. But also, sometimes men tell you who they are in the start, and that is often bad. Okay, 69 goes on a bit. We're gonna read, because it's the last one, for this nice girl, how to be a nice girl and win a heart from all these fucking bitches. We're gonna read the full page. Don't worry that as I'm sure you're aware, the text is large. So here we go. I'll see you, Frey. Dating websites. I really don't. Orlando Bim saying I really don't miss the 90s. This isn't the 90s. This specific edition was published in 2011. Okay. Dating websites are notoriously misleading for this reason. When a guy is asked to check the box to indicate... Oh, Jesus. Okay, so that is dated. When a guy is asked to check the box to indicate what type of match he's looking for, which one do you think he's going to check if he just wants sex? Casual... Sorry, is this a box? I didn't realize this was a box that you could press in old dating sites. In the old dating sites when they have the two boxes that you could tick. One which said casual sex with no protection and no phone call the next day. and then commitment, love, and poems under a tree. Those are the two genders. That is the two genders right there. Great stuff. He'll check the one that says commitment because he is very committed to seeing you naked. Yeah. After all, men are hunters. Good lord. We're dealing with a red-blooded hunting creature. Stop it. This is bad. Page 69. Why are you doing this to me? After all, men are hunters. We're dealing with a red-blooded hunting creature that prides itself on its ability to conquer. If it were legal, men would have their ex-conquests' heads mounted on the wall in a den. A bighorn sheep, a moose, a 10-point deer, Jennifer, Natalie, and a fling named Vanessa, because one-night stands get mounted too. The actor Vince Vaughn is quoted as saying, "If I'm not interested in a woman, I'm straightforward. Right after sex, I usually say, I can't do this anymore. Thanks for coming over." No guy is going to say, "I would never marry you, but I really want to get laid," if he's not sincerely interested in you. It's not uncommon for him to say, "What you want to hear? Marriage, kids, a big house? I can hardly wait." Whichever ear it hits first, make sure it flows all the way through and makes its way out the other ear. So like, there's a level to which it's like, and we've not finished with page 69 yet. Don't worry, we've got a paragraph to go. But there's a level that it's like, you know, men are misogynistic. Yeah, that is true. But this seems to be taking it as, I mean, obviously, it has to, taking it as an essential part of men. And I don't know why Vince Vaughn is the person you're looking for. You're looking for general truths about humankind from the clammiest actor in the world. A man with like just a real clammy face. Okay, carrying on with page 69. So as the huntee, please don't. As the huntee, the intelligent choice for you is not to roll around on the bed or couch until you really get to know the guy. Wait until you feel comfortable. I mean, there's no like. What is it bad? Is it does this woman think that bitches, that nice women don't like having casual sex? Does she think that it's only bitches that like casual sex? What if the woman doesn't want to get married? Give him, that's the last word of page 69, but we're going to reach until the next bit, which says the heat between the sheets, and I'm not going to read that because I might die. Some time to show you, not just tell you who he is with his accent. Dinners, flowers, and being... Yeah. Okay, so what that was is a bunch of misogyny ending with, go on a date. The word is pray. Yeah, no, the word is pray. You're right there, Mithril. Yeah, the word isn't huntee, is it? It is often just pray. That is a better word. But fucking hell, man. Whoo! Page 69, you disappointed me, along with the rest of this book. So, for anyone who knows, that's anyone who ever wanted to know, that's why men marry bitches. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to finish off this cider, and then I'm going to get another one. Again, over 1 million copies. She's been on MSNBC, Fox News, MTV, a first-class theatre production. It says critically acclaimed, but fucking I don't believe that. Which critic? Yeah, that was bad. I hope we all enjoyed our little foray into 2011/2006's when the book was first published in 2006. Yeah, 1 million copies. This has sold 1 million copies. Yeah, this. I hope we are now fully appraised of what it was like to be one of the nice women, and of course not one of the bitches who men marry. Because everything's a competition, and anyone who gets married over you is a bitch, and that is gender. What we've done, we've really unearthed what gender is, and I think we're all wiser now. We're all wiser about like, okay, this is how we should be acting. I should be acting more like a hunter, and there's definitely no risk to reproducing that kind of narrative, as if it's natural and as if that's normal. It will be getting returned to the cafe book swap tomorrow, or as soon as fucking possible, surreptitiously, because I don't want to be seen carrying this book. But I think we have unearthed the hidden abode of gender. And I am going to now get another cider because I fucking need it. The gift you buy for the woman in the world you hate the most. Yeah, that's right. Can you imagine though? Can you imagine what would it be like if someone got you that as a gift? How would you react? Like, if someone got me, like, if you were a woman and, like, I don't know, an older relative got you that as a gift, how would you react? You'd be like, how insulted would you be? Adam Moore, I feel like I could write something that's better than this. I should publish something that would outsell it out of spite. The thing is, you probably could write something that is technically better, but what you need is to write something that plays into the absolute worst impulses of misogynistic society and competitiveness that engenders within women because of like the overtly patriarchal misogynistic society, and write it in a way that is attuned to this specific moment of misogyny and not like 2006 to 2011 era misogyny. You need to make sure to really get like this specific type of misogyny nailed. Unfortunately, that would probably end up being just transphobia at this point, because that's just how a lot of our misogyny is really manifesting. So I don't know if you could probably write a technically better book, but it would still be terrible. And you'd have to be able to, you know, ship it on The View and stuff like that. Visit someone's house and it's prominently on a coffee table with a bookmark on it. Yeah. Hey man, if someone visits my flat and sees me with it, they're gonna be confused. Alright. I'll leave you with some music. Have a think for any topics or questions that you want to discuss outside of this book. And we'll get to that once I get back. ice. This time we've got a Copperberg. First things first, I'll fill up the glass and then we'll make a new tune. Okay, new tune. What are we gonna do? What kind of tune do we reckon we'll do here? Let's do something a bit more relaxed than that last one. That was a bit intense. Any ideas on oceanic ecology? It's under very real threat from capitalist parasites. Yeah, no one seems to be making enough noise about it. I don't have any specialist knowledge on it, aside from general. I mean, I have seen recently. I read. Oh, was it? I read recently a book on the. No, it was an article on the ecology of the coasts of Newfoundland and the ways in which the ecology of those fisheries has been devastated since the basically since the arrival of colonial settlers into what's now Canada, and which was tied together that kind of it was a special edition of a journal on social reproduction actually, and it's something that I want to tie together. I think if a potential work pans out, with potentially end up working in some ecocide role, there does seem to be a connection between the ways in which social reproduction is completely decimated by colonial extraction since its very foundation, not just extraction as it exists currently, with the famous example being the extraction of the tar sands in Alberta, but extraction of fisheries, extraction of like you're saying, oceanic areas of the ocean that are necessary for the systemic reproduction, not just of humans, but of the world itself. And there's a connection between that destruction and capitalism, obviously. But I don't have any specialist knowledge on how that is happening, aside from the fact that it's just an essential part of the general crisis of global destruction that's being produced by capitalism at the moment. Not to get too miserable about it, but you did ask the question. Out of tune. It's so warm in here. Give me a second while I tune up. I hope that's a relatively okay answer to your question, but again, I've got no special knowledge of ocean ecology in general. Okay, that's better. It is like the end of a teenage movie. I don't really like it very much though. I think I'm gonna have to change this. Sorry. Ooh, that is a sweet drink. Turns out the Copperberg lime, very sweet. I want to I want to do something that's let's do something a bit faster, but still kind of like a nice vibe. We'll start with the way that we often start. It's good bass. Not bass, but like a bass line. again, this is still kind of like a 2000s teen movie, but I like this fight better. Yeah, but is Richard Wolff playing guitar at the same time and getting slightly drunk? I think not. Funny story was I was chatting with my friend Martin, who as anyone will remember who watches the stream. I have called him scatterbrained on stream before, but which I will never do again. But he was the one who recommended me the Richard Wolff book in the first place, because I was looking for books on the history of like the Soviet Union, and he texted me a few days ago. He was like, "Oh, making a joke about Richard Wolff and my last video." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that reading this book like made me lose my mind a bit." And that book you recommended to me, and he'd completely forgotten that it was him that recommended me the book in the first place, which I think is very funny. I love Martin. Alright. Oops, that's too loud again. Richard Wolff does have a... It's interesting. I wonder how much of Richard Wolff's, like, career and influence is due to his, like, his impact on specific left YouTube creators. Because, like, before this, he was like, just an academic. So it is interesting that it does seem to be like a lot of his reach is via that scene, which is interesting in itself. I do think there is I'm not really going to get into this in the next video, but I think there is an interesting, like, critique of co-ops and democracy at work and sort of Wolff's whole deal through the lens of a critique of democracy and how much the terror of a minority within democracy can shape influence, and whether there are other methods of collective decision making other than democracy that might be pushed but that's it, you know. I think it's more hardline behind the scene, maybe. But I mean, his whole... I've not read enough of his work to know, but like the stuff that was in that review, or that was in that book, like that's just academic work, which is itself. Maybe it's more hardline behind the scenes of his academic work as well, but that work is explicitly kind of reformist Marxism, revisionist Marxism. So, I do know that he has, like, there is this idea that you can be, that he doesn't necessarily communicate the complexity of things like value theory, because he doesn't think that it's worth necessarily confusing people on that. But that's a sort of, I reject that entirely. I think anyone can understand the basics of value theory, and I'm gonna fucking try in the next video. I keep spelling drink on me. There's a lot of cider on my shorts right now. I think he's a very effective communicator. And you know, I've got one of his books. I've read his work. I used to watch his show. I'm subscribed to Democracy Now. I think he's a good communicator. But yeah, being a good communicator makes you, and being a communicator with a platform means that you have, I think, responsibility to produce work, which is good. Which is like, it means that you open yourself up to be held to a standard by people around the scene. You know, if you've taken responsibility for communicating ideas, then you open yourself up necessarily to being critiqued heavily on the relative truth or falsity of those ideas, which is valuable. Was there anything else I was going to talk about today? Did anyone else remember if there was anything else I was going to talk about? Oh, I was going to talk about miserable stuff, wasn't I? I was going to talk about the fucking whiteness riots that've been going on in the UK. Shit like that. Oh, God. I mean, what is there to say, really? So for anyone who doesn't know, like, there was a horrible event, a horrible situation where someone who was not Muslim, was not a refugee, who was born in Cardiff, murdered some people, including some children. And the far right, frankly bolstered by the British media, have whipped up race riots, which is a nice way of saying whipped up far right white supremacist riots to attack a mosque, a mosque a mosque, and then Also, there have been riots outside Westminster yesterday. And I think what's worth talking about here, not the horrible situation. It's worth talking about like the way the media has represented this. There's been a lot of like people saying things like, "Oh, this is division that is pushed by the foreign interference of international far right is being pushed on the UK because obviously, according to this narrative, it's not homegrown far right, it is Russian interference producing the far right." And there's been a bunch of journalists saying shit like this. And a lot of it totally fails to attend to the fact that it is the British media which has been pushing this narrative that boats coming over to the UK have been bringing murderers, have been bringing drug dealers, have been bringing people who have been punishing the fabric of the social fabric of the UK. And you can tell this is something that's been picked up because these far right rallies are chanting "Stop the boats." And for context, the BBC used to have a specific correspondent who would go to count small dinghies that cross the English Channel as an immigration scare word, and that's produced these sort of far right rallies. And this is stuff I want to sort of get into in that wisecrack script that I'm writing right now, because this is how fascism is produced. It's not foreign interference. It's not anything as simple as that. Well, you say it sounds very Trumpy, but the last Kamala Harris campaign ad I saw was her criticising Trump on not being hard enough on the border, on his border policy, and saying that only she will provide the good border policy, the good attack on the good, like, shoring up the border that Trump can't. And the point is, this isn't just a Conservative thing. It's not just the Conservatives that are doing this hardline border policy. This is the Democrats' border policy. It's the European Union's Fortress Europe border policy. It's Keir Starmer's fucking border policy. How do I do three? Keir Starmer's border policy. And Keir Starmer's already taken the leap to increase police powers. Not he's increasing police powers that can deal with the far right. When of course we know that many of the far right are the fucking police. I cannot count the number of times I've been in a protest or a demonstration or an action and I've been accosted or treated badly by police wearing Blue Lives Matter badges in London. Because it's the police that are the fucking fascists. So many of them are in fucking far right organisations. Mithra's saying Joseph Stiglitz was a bit like that for me 30 years ago. I'm assuming about Richard Wolff carrying a copy of Globalisation and its discontents. I mean, in fairness, Wolff is a lot more radical than Joseph Stiglitz is. Joseph Stiglitz is an explicitly avowed, like, social democrat. He was the former chief economist of the World Bank. Doesn't know what neoliberalism is, though. Ooh, neoliberalism. Yeah, so that's basically the sort of horrible news that came out of the UK this week was the far right rallying to attack Muslims and refugees to stop the boats and attack minority groups. And I think, frankly, we're going to see a lot more of this sort of shit in the coming years, and I think that the Labour Party is playing into it and will continue to play into it. Yeah, it's not great, but the one good thing was there was a fantastic video of, and it's been doing the rounds on British Twitter. There's a fantastic video of one of these far right, and there's some good stuff as well, but the best videos is one of these far right figures. They're all chucking stuff at the police line, and this one guy's getting right up into the face of the police. And as he's getting into the face of the police, someone chucks a brick, and the brick hits the back of his head, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" And he starts wandering away. And as he's walking away, another brick just comes and lobs right on his balls, right on his dick and balls, and it's so beautiful. You can just hear that. You can hear the crowd just, "Oh," and it's like that. You know that Simpsons bit where Hans Moleman gets hit in the crotch with a football? It's like that, but so much. If Hans Moleman was a Nazi, it's like that. It's fucking brilliant. I love it. I've watched that on a loop many times because it's so satisfying. We can all laugh at a Nazi getting hit in the back of his head with a brick from one of his friends, and then hitting the nuts with a brick from one of his friends. It's a real beautiful scenario. It's like seeing spring come. It's like, oh god, oh that's a relief. Oh, I've just seen all this terrible stuff, and then just this, what a relief. Oh, a beautiful image of a Nazi getting hit in the nuts with a brick. Isn't that brilliant? But there was also some as tempting as it is to be sad or angry or hopeless in the face of that shit. There's some nice stuff as well. Like there's the community who aren't Nazis came out immediately after the riots and have been rebuilding the mosque wall, and there's a really nice video of a man being like, "Yeah, we're going to rebuild this mosque wall, and we're going to do it. And if they come back and they knock it down, we'll be right back here in this community to build it back up again." Because that's what we do. I think it's also a really important part to this, that it's not. These people are not like. There's a narrative that fascism is that these are working class, disaffected working class people. But a lot of the time that's just not the case. A lot of the time they're not working class, they're not that poor. A lot of the time they're sort of petty bourgeois people. A lot of the time they've got relatively well-paying businesses or trades jobs, or just decent paid work. And they're not this disaffected young group, because that's not really what produces fascism. What produces fascism is investment in whiteness, and this investment in whiteness is what they're fucking concerned about reappropriating and reaccumulating. I just read through some of Wolff's books' lower reviews on Amazon and was surprised to see similar opinions to yours of it not being revolutionary enough. That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, a lot his work is like that. Work is like reformist. A lot of the notion of market socialism is necessarily like reformist. It's not revolutionary. There was a great photo of an older lady holding a "racist not welcome here" sign. Gives me that lady was brave. That lady was brave. Standing in front of a fucking field of baying fucking raging men and holding her ground. That was a brave woman. Ugh. Whew. It is so warm. Was there anything else that I was wanting to talk about, or anything else that you guys wanted me to talk about? Any questions or anything that you're interested in while I cool myself down? I think that was all I was wanting to chat about. I didn't want to get too much into the depressing stuff after spending all that time on that terrible book. This is a wonderful fan. It was given to me by the lovely people at Respect the Dead podcast. I can't remember what exactly our was it Thatcher? I think we did. I don't know. I can't remember. It is a wonderful fan, and it is extremely useful. If I didn't have such a strained relationship with Pride, I would have gone to Pride with it. Fascism may be engineered by the petty bourgeois, but it's often executed by the working class. I'm not even sure that's necessarily true. I don't think it's true that the working class are never part of fascism. And you don't want to like exceptionalize the working class as a group of people because they are as susceptible as anything else. But a lot of the time, it's not the poorest people who are being fully like who are necessarily the foot soldiers of it. I mean, like historically, I don't think that's necessarily been the case either. And like you look at Trump's movement, it's not largely working class. You look at the truckers movement in Canada; those fascists, they weren't working class. You look at the people who installed what's his face in Chile, Pinochet. One of the ways that Pinochet was able to get hold power was because of essentially petty bourgeois organization of truckers, really, which is one of the interesting parallels between Chile and Canada during the last few years was the sort of the inability. One of the ways that Allende was left open to the coup was by not consolidating power to such a degree and essentially taking it from those petty bourgeois transit workers. Nazis, yeah, lots of the middle class petty bourgeois is famous. Nazis being a famous example as well, yeah. Yeah. Whew. All right, I will make another tune, and if anyone's got, and we'll see how long we can last, because it might be, if there's no more questions or no more topics anyone wants to talk about, we'll bring it to a close. But I'll make a new song, and if anyone's not got anything that they want to add or think of anything to chat about, we'll see about ending, because I am very bored. On media, on books on white supremacy, white nationalism. There is a book called Fractured. Oh, who's it called? Let's get the full title. It's called Fractured: Race, Class, Gender, and the Hatred of Identity Politics by Michael Richmond and Alex Charnley. I'll put a link to it in chat there. And that has a very good essay on whiteness riots, about specifically the stuff that's been going on, stuff that's been going on in the past few days in the UK, and that I would recommend that as a good starting point. The 3-line Wikipedia page on the Chilean trucker strike. I can't remember which book it was that I was reading about the Chilean trucker strikes. I'll try and remember what that was, but yeah, it's a very striking similarity between the sort of the ways in which it was done and the sort of the demands that was being made by those truckers in Chile and in Canada, and there was like lots of clear consistencies across them that I think are valuable to look at. The title's a bit of a mouthful, yeah. I mean, it's like classic left-wing book title. Word : explainer. Which, I guess I should I submitted my book proposal to the University of London Press, so hopefully that'll be coming out in about a year or a year and a half. That goes by a similar naming convention of it's like contesting commodification : human rights in a neoliberal world. That's what my book's provisionally going to be called. God, I had a very classic academic situation this week or last week with so I have a paper going through peer review right now, and I got I went through one round and it got corrections. I went through the corrections, and in the second round I had the very classic academic situation of one reviewer came back and was like, yeah, this is grand, 100% happy with all this, ready to be published, here's a couple of typos, whatever, maybe reword this thing, but otherwise, this looks ready to publish, this is good shit. Second reviewer went, this needs to be something completely different. This needs to be something entirely different. What we've got here is fragmentary, speculative. They implied that my research was presupposing conclusions, presupposing conclusions which it didn't, which I didn't. Wasn't keen on that insinuation. But it was a weird situation because, they'd gone through these reviews, and the editor of the journal had been like, here's the reviews, pay close attention when you're doing your reviews to the comments of the reviewer, the negative reviewer. And I was like, oh shit, does that mean that that means the editor might actually be siding with the negative reviewer, so that's not good for me. But I went to the sort of online portal where you submit the article and you see how it's progressing. And the portal said, just suggesting minor corrections. So I was like, okay, so the corrections from the negative reviewer were not minor. They were essentially write a different paper, do a different research plan, talk to different people. It wasn't really engaging with what the work was. It was wanting a different paper. But the reviewer, the editor listed it as minor corrections, and I was like, okay, so what does that mean? So I sort of spoke to my supervisor, and he was like, yeah, all you can really do is write a big letter, basically saying, I think what this reviewer wants is a different paper. So I did that, did all this stuff, and I checked. Normally when something is minor corrections, the way academic papers work, you submit a paper, you submit a paper, then it goes through peer review, you get it back, minor, major, whatever corrections, and if it's minor corrections, it doesn't normally go out to peer review again. What happens is the editor will just be like, yeah, these are that's fine, you've dealt with the corrections. But this has gone back out to peer review, so I'm just like sitting going, what's going on here? My thought is that what's likely happened is that the editors want like a third opinion on it. So I'm just sort of sitting there going, oh Christ, I hope the third reviewer agrees with me and not the negative reviewer. Otherwise, it'll be. I wrote this paper about a year ago, close to a year ago. It'll be like a year of wasted time. But yeah, it's a classic situation of a classic academic situation. One reviewer's like, yeah, this is grand. The other reviewer's like, this is the worst thing I've ever read. And it needs to be something completely different. Yeah, I mean, it was a weird situation, but we'll hope, mate. Hopefully, it is stressful. And it's more just like, I need more publications. To get a job, I need publications. And I would very much like to get this publication out. Yeah, the Chile strike was organised by truck ownership, yeah. That's like, so with the truckers in Canada were largely truck owners as well. It wasn't just it wasn't workers, it was mostly truck owners. As a protest against specific measures, COVID measures, right? Yeah. Another. I think probably last thing before we head off, because I think we've sort of calmed down here. It's probably time to head. And I am so warm. I'm going to die. So the last thing I'll talk about is the book will hopefully. I mean, the good thing about the book is that if I get the book can be once it's been accepted for publication, it can be listed as a forthcoming publication, which means I can add it to my CV before it's out, which is good. And the other thing I can add might be, so me and a friend of mine are writing a article on neoliberalism and fascism that got accepted for a special issue. On neoliberalism and fascism, and hopefully I can list that as well. So hopefully, if all goes to plan, if this fucking review goes okay, if my book proposal gets accepted, then I will leap from 1 to 4 publications this year, which would be very useful for finding a job. It is definitely too hot. But yeah, so I think we are sort of winding down, right? Nobody seems to have any sort of burning questions or desires to speak about. So we will probably draw it to a close here. And thanks for coming. hopefully we'll have another video out next week. Hopefully it will do better. Better than the last one. Because fuck, I need it. Yeah, thanks for coming along. And I'll see you in not 2 weeks, because I have friends coming over. I have friends coming over from America. I've got a 10-year anniversary for some friends because I'm old. So not in 2 weeks, but in a month again. And if you keep your eyes out, I will be streaming the Thursdays that I'm not streaming here. I'll be streaming on SK the Crusaders channel, doing my D&D game, and it would be good to get some more eyes on that. It's all very fun. And yeah, cheers. I will bring up the buy screen, and I'll leave the. You know what? I will leave on, instead of this music, I made a new tune. I will play my new tune that I've been working on before we end, and we'll end on that as that plays through, because it's fun. All right. See you guys in 2 weeks.